I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you for joining us here on Closing Arguments. A big hour ahead, but first, let's get to this story. This one, a lot of people are talking about, involves a man, 81 years old. This is his mugshot. He's locked up. This is William Brock. What's the story behind William Brock? He got a phone call, and you know, scammers go after, our seniors when they're trying to get money. Someone, we don't know who, apparently called him up and was trying to extort money from him, saying that his nephew was in jail, and he alleges that he was getting threats from these people who were making a call, and they wanted $12,000 from him. 12 grand. So what's the arrangement? The arrangement involves a pickup of the money. And these scammers allegedly send an Uber driver. This is the Uber driver. Take a look at her photo. It's Lo-Letha Hall. It's a hard-working woman just trying to do a job. Has the app, works for Uber. Oh, it's a package pickup. All right, I'll go to this residence and pick up a package. Well, she goes there and she waits like 30 minutes for the package to come, and no one comes out with the package, so she goes to the door. And when she goes to the door, that's when she is confronted by William Brock, who is holding a gun. Now, she's not threatening him or anything. I'm just here to pick up a package. What's going on in his mind? Who does he think she is? How is she connected to the people threatening my family? Well, what happens next is incredibly tragic. William Brock shoots and kills her. Now, part of this confrontation is caught on video. I'll give you a warning. It's graphic in nature. You'll hear some shots. Part of it we cut out because of the screaming, but the part that's cut out, we're screaming. She is like begging for her life. Please stop shooting me. We're going to play that video for you now. This is from her car, right? She's an Uber driver, so she has a dash cam video to protect herself from accidents and things that are happening, to record what she's doing while at work. Unfortunately, she recorded what happened here. Let's take a look.
Get up. Stop. Stop. Or I'll call 911. Stop.
No, you're not leaving.
Right.
No, you're not. You're not leaving in one hole.
Stop.
Get in that front.
Stop.
Get in there.
Stop.
Get in there.
Help! Help! Help!
Get in the phone.
Help!
I'll shoot the other way.
Help!
Come on, get out.
Help! Sir,
Yeah.
I'm here to pick up a package.
Yes. I know what you're after. You're after the...
Help! Help!
I'll shoot you in the head.
Don't do that, please, don't. Don't, sir.
Who
Please
do
don't.
you work for?
Over. It's right up there. You can see it. You can see it. You can look, sir. Please. Just look.
Well, owns the property?
Right here. Stop!
I'll shoot you. Give me that phone.
No.
All right, kid.
Please, don't shoot me anymore. Please.
You need an ambulance.
Please. 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 Let's talk.
So this situation is created by people who aren't there, who may know him, clearly don't know her. They put her in an extremely dangerous position, and this man, he's asking her, who do you work for? She's saying, Uber. I work for Uber. And he's concerned about her talking on the phone. Now, I don't know what's going on in his mind, but he doesn't stop shooting. He does call 911. He calls 911. Let's take a listen to that.
Yes, I need the sheriff and the ambulance real quick out here. There's been a shooting.
A shooting? Who shot?
Some black woman come to the house here.
Who did she shoot?
Well, I've been threatened all morning.
Okay. Okay, where did the black woman go?
She's laying here on the driveway.
Did you shoot her?
Yes, I did.
Okay. She's laying in the driveway?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
She's bleeding some, and
Okay, where did you shoot her at?
well, I shot her in the leg the first time, and I shot her in the shoulder.
Okay, so you shot her in the leg and the shoulder?
Yes.
Why did you do that?
Because I was threatened that she was going to come and kill me.
She threatened to kill you?
No, it's the guy on the phone that's been trying to get money out of me.
Okay, do you know who the male is?
I could give you his name, but Joseph somebody.
Joseph?
If that may not be his right name.
Okay.
Let's just get the sheriff out here and
We got him dispatched. I want to stay on the line with you, okay? Is anybody else with her out there?
no.
Okay, so she's by herself?
And I'm by myself too.
Okay. Is that her in the background?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay, you don't know her other than she was making threats?
I've never seen her before.
Okay. 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 Did she come and knock on your door? Tell me what happened.
There was a guy on the phone center here.
Okay.
So
the male on the phone was trying to get money from you, and she was knocking on the door at the same time?
yes.
Okay.
And he was telling me he was going to kill me and the family and everybody else around me.
Money, okay. And he said he was going to kill you and the family?
Yes.
Okay.
And he thought he would be on his way here now. He claimed he was in Springfield,
Okay, the male said he was in the Springfield?
but I don't believe it.
Okay.
Help me, please. Please.
Okay, tell her we got the medics coming.
Well,
Okay, tell her we got the medics coming, okay? We got medic and the police department coming. They're coming full force.
well, get him here quick, because I'm not comfortable with being outside here, because
Okay.
they said they had us running over us.
It's an old man that shot the lady.
Just way back.
It's an old man
They're coming.
that shot the lady.
They're coming to help you.
The caller is the shooter. The caller is the shooter that I have on the line. The caller is the shooter that I have online. I can hear the female screaming in the background, help me. I need you to put the gun up before they arrive, okay?
And if you would also part note for LP.
Yes.
Okay, put the gun up for me. Put it inside the house or something, okay?
Yes. But she's not going anywhere.
Okay, okay. How bad is she bleeding?
I don't know.
Okay, and you said you hit her in the leg and the shoulder, right?
Yeah, I think it was the shoulder. She got a big sweatshirt on. I can't really tell.
Okay, okay. Are they out of the ambulance yet, or are they still there? Are they still waiting?
Yeah, the paramedic. I shot her.
Shot her? What happened to you?
She busted my head on the door.
You know her?
No.
He's been charged now. Let's take a look at those charges. Murder, which is purposely causing the death of the victim. Yeah, he purposely caused the death of this victim. Murder during or as a result of committing a felony offense, right? That's the assault with the gun. Murdering as a result of committing a felony offense. Kidnapping. He's not letting her leave. That's on video. Felonious assault, felony kidnapping. So you look at the charges for what he did, yeah. But the question is, why did he do it? Now, he wrote some notes in the home that were recovered. The defendant here that you're looking at, William Brock. And in his notes, this is what the investigator said, when I went into the kitchen, I read the spiral notebook that was on the table. It shows someone wrote notes about bail money, $12,000, and had a case number. So the scammers are trying to get him to pay bail money. Are they making threats, not making threats? That part I'm not sure because there's no notes about that, but $12,000, and they give a case number. This is out of Ohio, OH57994. And at the bottom right-hand corner was written Black Acura driver Lo-Letha. So he's writing down the information about the driver. And then Lieutenant Schultz and Detective Coldis counted money that he had. He had the $12,000 there. So he's buying into this on some level. I'm not sure. Like, it's difficult to get inside of his mind and why he did what he did. But this was a relatively sophisticated scam. I'm sure it's not necessarily uncommon. The complicating factor in all of it is when they went for the pickup, the scammers used the app. They used Uber to try to get the money from the victim. Because he's the victim of the scam, but he's the defendant who shot the real victim in all of this, the Uber driver. Let's try to unpack this a little bit. Let me bring in my special guest joining us right now. Kenneth Gray, retired FBI special agent, senior lecturer at the University of New Haven, joining us from New Haven tonight. Kenneth, great to see you tonight. Your first thoughts about the nature of this scam and how intricate do you think this is, or how common are scams like this where you're trying to get cash from seniors, people who might be a little more vulnerable, by phone?
Hi, Vinny. Good to be with you again. So I've heard the same scam, a slight variation of people being called by what's supposed to be grandchildren that are being held in Mexico or other countries, and they're being held by the police and they need bail money to get out. So this is a variation on that scam, which has been out there for at least 10 years. And in this particular case, the Uber driver is being used as a cutout. So this is clearly a scam, but at the same time, even though Mr. Brock fell for the scam, his life was still not under threat. He was not under risk of threat of death or grievous bodily harm. Therefore, self-defense does not work in this case.
No, it's not. I mean, the Uber driver was trying to get away. She was trying desperately to get, as soon as she saw the gun, she's like, I'm out of here. I'm just going to go. But she's picking up the phone, and he seems concerned about that. As I listened to Brock, the shooter, the man with the gun, he seemingly believes she's part of this, that she's working for the people who are shaking him down.
Absolutely, I agree. He does not realize she's an Uber driver and that she is an innocent third party, but instead believes that she's there making the pickup with her partners. And so he buys into it, but buying into it in no way excuses his, shooting her.
But let me ask you this. How difficult should it be now for the FBI or whoever else is investigating this to track down the people who put all these wheels in motion? The ones who called the defendant Brock the shooter, the ones who used the Uber app to have this innocent woman thrown in the middle of all of this.
So law enforcement can go to Uber and get the number that was used to make the contact for this. And if that's not available, there is this push technology that was used in recent cases involving pedophiles with apps being used to hide the identity of individuals and use that to reveal who made this Uber contact.
So from your perspective, sitting here tonight, because obviously we haven't heard about any arrest of the person or people responsible for putting this in motion, how confident are you that they could be tracked down? And do you believe that they're actually in this? I would think they're in this country, right? Because it's a cash transaction. So we're not talking about people from abroad. It's likely someone close by, I would think.
It could be, or it could be somebody abroad with local contacts. That happens also. But nonetheless, I'm fairly confident they can track down the person that made this contact. But the question is the legal theory here of beyond what their responsibility is for this murder.
Absolutely.
That is, they were responsible.
Well, we're going to get into that with our legal think tank coming up next. So
Great.
yeah, because it's layered and it's complicated. But the other part of this, right? If the Uber app is used to pick up the package, there has to be a drop-off point. And if you know where that drop-off point is, that should lead to some really significant information for investigators here.
Absolutely. So the extortion that is going on here, it may be to the individual that is behind this, or it could be to a cutout, but nonetheless, that cutout is a pathway to the person overall responsible for setting this all into motion.
Now, let me ask you one more thing. They used a particular family member here. He kept saying his nephew. You have to speak with the nephew to, number one, make sure he's not involved in all this, which he could be, I don't know. And I think it would be important also to know if they knew the name of the nephew, and if they know the name of the nephew, they know him. Like, how do they pick the targets here? Could it be someone who knows him, or is this stuff that these scammers are just getting from online and getting family members' names all online?
Yeah, the cases that I'm familiar with from the past where the similar type of scam was being used, it was Facebook. They were getting the information off of Facebook, finding likely targets to go and contact, and having names of grandchildren that they could go and approach them with. But the nephew definitely has to be interviewed to see if they have any role in this.
Yeah. Wow. This is really sad. It's
tragic.
So sad. Kenneth Gray, I'm so glad we had an opportunity to have you on tonight. We appreciate your valuable time and your insight from all your experience. Kenneth Gray, over there at the University of New Haven. Thank you so much.
Anytime, Benny.
All right, when we come back, we're going to dive into, Kenneth Gray was asking the questions. Do Josh, Molly, and Daryl have the answers? We'll find out next.
We are underway in the trial of doomsday prophet Chad Daybell.
Prosecutors say they will seek the death penalty against him.
Investigators have recovered human remains at Chad Daybell's residence.
There's no way, Morgan. I can never come up with this.
His wife, Lori Vallow Daybell, has already been convicted.
Now, will her husband end up with the same fate?
It's just so hard to know where the truth ends.
It's the doomsday prophet, Chad Daybell, on trial.
I need the sheriff and the ambulance real quick out here. There's been a shooting. Well, I shot her in the leg the first time, and I shot her in the shoulder. Guy on the phone has been trying to get money out of me. And he was telling me he was going to kill me and the family and everybody else around.
This story is sad. Some would call it disturbing. It's really... This was hitting me tonight because we heard so much of what happened. Lo-Letha Hall, she's 61 years old, working Uber, obviously needs to make some money, is working hard. And she's just going to pick up a package, is confronted by this man with a gun, just wants to get out of there. Just wants to get out of there. That is so tragic. This 81-year-old man who shot her is being manipulated and scammed by someone who's playing with his mind, which clearly he doesn't have control of all of his faculties. I don't think that'll be a defense for this, but you hear it in his voice. And he believes she's involved in this, and he's taken her life. And she's 1,000% innocent. And the people put all this into play. Where are they? Where are they? Let's bring in our think tank. They're here. Joining us live in studio tonight, criminal defense attorney, entertainment attorney, former assistant DA in Atlanta, Daryl Cohen. Also with us tonight, criminal defense attorney and Emory University law professor Molly Parmer. And finally, the man behind the new glasses, criminal defense attorney Josh Schiffer. Oh, you just switched him again.
I switched him again.
2 seconds ago, he had a different pair of glasses on.
Tricky.
All right.
Better than nude glasses.
Yeah, exactly. Let's begin with the 81-year-old man. What did you hear in his voice, and what do you believe he believed he was doing?
What I heard in his voice is old and confused. What I saw is a gun in his hand, and there needs to be some sort of gun control, regardless of how horrible this was, to prevent people who should not have a weapon from having a weapon. Had he not had it, it still would have been tragic, but nowhere near this level.
Is this a man with a defense, Molly?
I mean, so they do have self-defense, of course, in Ohio, and you have to take into consideration what a reasonable person would have done given the totality of the circumstances. I think when we watch that video, no matter if he believed he was being threatened before, her actions, the way she walks away, precludes him from prevailing on a self-defense theory.
How about his mental capacity?
I think that's really what we're at, and we're looking at what's called a mistake of fact defense, because it's not self-defense. He wasn't ever under a threat. He clearly...
He doesn't know what Uber is.
Yeah, this is somebody that may be suffering from some degenerative, age-related conditions, not oriented as to time, space, manner, all that. The gun control issue is fascinating, but there's no mechanism to go review people's age in conjunction with firearm ownership. That's a non-starter to begin with. But there's so many other levels, because how do we prevent this? And that's scary. It's also one of those cases that makes the felony murder rule make sense, which is sad.
I listened to him, and she's trying to explain. Who do you work for? Like, I feel like I'm in his mind at that moment. That, you know, all these people are out to get me, and there's that paranoia that he's feeling at that moment. And I'm not defending his actions. I'm trying to understand his actions.
Nothing he said, nothing that he heard her say would make it a difference. He, in his own mind, was being threatened, had been harassed. I have a gun to protect myself, and I don't care what you say. No explanation, none whatsoever, will make a difference in what he was about to do.
And the first 2 shots didn't kill her. There were more shots. That's what's inexplicable. At that moment, she's begging for her life. Okay.
But doesn't that show the fear? Doesn't that show the real fear?
Well, he wasn't going to give up his gun because he was afraid to be outside, is what he said. He wanted to go back inside, but while you're holding someone at gunpoint, you can call 911 at the same time.
If you have your faculties. If you have your faculties, he wouldn't have done what he did. He was overmatched, and what a tragedy that
Well, let's talk
place.
about the people that put this all in motion. The scammers who haven't been caught yet. Should they, is this a murder case against them, Molly?
No, and let me explain why.
How could this not be a murder case against them?
Let me take it a step further. Because I've actually looked at the Ohio statutes, unlike my colleagues here who don't do this kind of research. Ohio does have a felony murder rule, as do many states. But specifically, in Ohio, to be charged with felony murder, the underlying predicate felony that you engage in that has a natural and probable cause of the murder must be dangerous or violent. And that is the issue.
Extortion is not.
And telecommunications fraud, which is what this is. That's an Ohio felony. But it's not considered dangerous or violent.
Can the feds get him on something?
If he was under the impression that he was going to be killed, that's dangerous and violent. And under the felony murder rule, they can be charged. Maybe not convicted, maybe convicted and goes away on appeal, but they can be charged.
I also know that prosecutors are very creative, and they will find a way to justify this otherwise nonviolent fraud and shoehorn in the felony murder rule, because this is unfortunately one of those cases where the felony murder rule ostensibly applies. It makes sense that these people weren't considering that someone would die, but anybody else looking at it would go, yeah, no, this is awful and it's your fault.
I mean, it is the kind of thing that ultimately could cause change in the legislature. But I do think that prosecutors have an obligation to charge something according to the elements of the offense, which under Ohio law requires dangerous, violent felonies.
So extorting someone with violence?
Threats. So,
with threats is wouldn't qualify from your perspective.
I don't think that even terroristic threats, saying I'm going to kill you or your family, rises to the level that's required by Ohio statute as drafted
We
currently.
disagree.
Okay.
Have you read the statute?
I don't need to read the statute. I'm a real lawyer.
Former prosecutor. I read the law.
And a former prosecutor.
I'll be over here.
Let me put this up on the screen because Uber made a statement about all this. I'm sure they feel very bad about it. This is a horrific tragedy, and our hearts continue to be with Lo-Letha's loved ones as they grieve. We've been in contact with law enforcement and remain committed to supporting their investigation. Okay, yeah, that's the least you can do under these. I don't know how this Uber package app works. I looked at my phone today. I see that there's a way that you can go have a package picked up. But the great thing about Uber that makes you feel somewhat safer than going with a random person who approaches you at the airport is that the person that is picking you up, you know who they are, and the person who's driving you knows who you are. But in the package, I don't know if you know each other.
I'm going to put on my greedy, money grubbing hat now as a lawyer and say this changed what foreseeable looks like. Because guess what's foreseeable in the world of tort or injury law? Fraudulent, dispatches, people getting shot. Does Uber now owe a larger duty to both drivers and passenger, callers to vet these exchanges more? Because obviously we're seeing fraud leading to death, and that's actionable.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it, you're being sent to pick up a package, not a person. So a package doesn't have a profile on Uber, doesn't get rated, you don't know who they are, their credit card's not in there.
Well-known secret that ride shares have been the biggest dope dealers in every major city for about a decade now. They are the largest, maybe not as big as the biggest package companies, but they do a lot of illegal deliveries.
Yeah, you can do a lot of crimes with Uber.
Yeah, it's a great tool.
They're with us the rest of the hour. Up next. Where was the accused killer when 4 University of Idaho students were being murdered? Today is the deadline for the defendant to declare his alibi to the court, and we have the latest.
There's a lot of still other circumstantial evidence that will be gathered between now and the trial date. You still have 3 other crime scenes. You have his apartment, you have the car, you have his parents' house that all need to be processed for evidence of the crime. And then any other evidence that comes in between now and then. I think the biggest piece of evidence that jumps out to you is the DNA evidence on the sheet. That's the one piece of evidence that will be hard to explain as a defense attorney on the case.
Today was a big day in the Idaho student's murder case. Today was the day that the judge set as a deadline for the defense, the accused mass killer, to give some more specific information about his alleged alibi so he would be permitted to have some level of an alibi defense here. Giving some notice to the prosecution of, oh yeah, I wasn't here, here's where I actually was. Now, this came up a while ago because they said, yeah, we have an alibi. It wasn't really specific, though. Take a look. The accused killer has had a habit of going for drives alone. Often he would drive at night. He did so late on November 12th and ended November 13th. The accused killer is not claiming to be at a specific location at a specific time. At this time, there's not a specific witness to say precisely where the accused killer was at each moment of the hours between late night November 12th, 2022 and early morning November 13th, 2022. He was out driving during the late night and early morning hours of November 12th to the 13th. Judge was not having that and wanted some more specific information. And today was the deadline, and we've been checking the docket, and nothing showed up on the docket. Now, it may have been filed and just wasn't put into the system yet. That's possible, so we'll keep an eye on this for tomorrow. But as we sit here tonight, nothing has happened. We have zero, zippo, nada. But I do want to take a moment here to pull back and just remember, what happened and who we lost in this case. There are 4 young victims who did absolutely nothing wrong.
On November 13th, 2022, at around 4 a.m., 4 college students were brutally murdered. Each would soon become household names, known for their deaths, but remembered for their lives. Kaylee Gonsalves, she was 21 and born in Concord, California. Her family describes her as sociable, strong, and a hard worker.
Kaylee was our middle child out of 5. She was always competitive. She was smack dab middle, so Steven and Olivia were a little bit older. And Aubrey were a little bit younger, so she kind of had to figure out where to fit in, and she definitely did.
Maddie Mogan, also 21, was best friends with Kaylee since childhood. Maddie's family says she was known for her offbeat humor and her ability to make others laugh and smile.
She was so great. She lit up every room she'd come in, and she was just so positive and fun, and we love her and miss her so much.
20-year-old Xana Cornodal grew up in Idaho and was a talented gymnast as a child. In high school, she played volleyball, track, and soccer. Xana was going to school for marketing.
Xana was such a light in my life and so many others, and she knew and understood me more than anyone. Losing her is the hardest thing I've ever had to go through, and it has left me heartbroken.
20-year-old Ethan Chapin loved sports and country music. He was Xana's boyfriend, a triplet who was incredibly close to his family.
We are eternally grateful that we spent so much time with him. And I want to remind you that that's the most important message that we have for you and your families, is to make sure that you spend as much time as possible with those people, because time is precious and it's something you can't get back.
Guess what I have in my hands? Just filed, just printed out. It's still warm. We've got the additional information that is being alleged here by the defense. They say the accused killer, they use his name, I don't. The accused killer was out driving in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, as he often did, to hike and run and or see the moon and stars. He drove throughout the area south of Pullman, Washington, west of Moscow, Idaho, including Wawai Park. The accused killer intends to offer testimony of Cy Ray, a CSLI expert, cell tower, cell phone, and other radio frequency, to show that the accused killer's mobile device was south of Pullman, Washington, and west of Moscow, Idaho on November 13th. That the accused killer's mobile device did not travel east on the Moscow-Pullman Highway in the early morning hours of November 13th, and thus could not be the vehicle captured on video along the Moscow-Pullman Highway near Floyd's cannabis shop. Additional information, an initial analysis will be provided once the state provides discovery as requested. So there you have it. He's got an alibi. I could not have been driving around and stopping at the house to kill these 4 students because I was driving around. Let's bring back in our think tank, Daryl Cohen, Molly Palmer, Josh Schiffer. Molly, you like this?
Yeah, I think it's a good alibi. I mean, it's interesting. I think all of us, well, not me because I'm more open-minded, but a lot of people, I think, were like, well, he's not going to have an alibi. He's not going to meet the deadline. He definitely did this. And now we have something that's pretty powerful forensic evidence. I mean, they're going to bring in an expert who's going to talk about cell phone location data, triangulation, and place him not at the scene of the crime. I mean, I think that that is incredibly powerful evidence.
It could be. Now, what the prosecution theory, as I recall from the papers that have been filed, affidavits, et cetera, Josh, is that his phone is turned off at a certain time.
And that's really what we're going to get into, is a battle of technical information as synthesized and presented by not just a defense expert, because they'll obviously need an expert to present this stuff, but you're going to have state experts that are going to specifically set forth what the restrictions of the technology of cell phone triangulation are, as well as if you turn off your phone, you don't get any data. And that alibi, there's a time period that's really going to become key. And I think we're going to hear a lot of fighting about how accurate this technology really is.
So here's the question for you, Daryl Cohen. The person, according to the defense, the real killer, did they get some of his trash and wipe his DNA on the knife sheath, commit the murder so they could frame this guy from this professor from Washington, this grad student? Is that going to be part of what they do also? Because now you've got two white Elantras driving in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, and one of them has a killer in it, and the other has an innocent person who had his DNA stolen and put on the knife sheath at the crime scene. That's what I hear the defense is going to be arguing.
I hear exactly that, but I also hear Elantra 1 and Elantra 2 are one and the same. But all of this is going to come down to whether the jury believes the strong alibi that Molly mentions, whether or not they believe the strong evidence, the DNA, and all of the rest involved in this case. And they're going to look at this defendant every time he walks in the courtroom. They're going to watch his face. They're going to watch his body language. They're going to listen to the evidence. And if they like this defendant, they may, one or two jurors may vote to acquit. If they don't like him, he's completely done with all 12.
And really, we talk so much about burden of proof. What the introduction of this alibi, even if you don't believe it, it's something in addition. And it detracts from the ability for beyond a reasonable doubt death penalty.
Here we go. Next hearing, May 14th, change of venue, June 27th, trial, March 3rd, 2025. Up next. In tonight's Tank Takes, a man puts on a disguise and successfully robs a bank. Then he tries to rob a Domino's, but is unsuccessful. He's still on the run, and tonight we're wondering, will justice be delivered?
He is an abuser.
She clocked me in the jaw.
It was a shocking story.
Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. Weekdays 4 to 8 on Court TV Legendary Trials. Stream with your favorite app or find out how to watch on CourtTV.com.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates. Saturday morning, 10/9 Central. Only on Court TV.
Welcome back. Time for tonight's Tank Takes, where we take a look at the world of crime and justice and some stories that we save for the end because we need to. First story, I'm calling this one Bank Day with Bernie. Kind of like Weekend with Bernie, but a little different. A woman was trying to get a loan, so she brought her uncle with her to the bank to help get the loan. The problem was her uncle had died a few hours earlier. Video was posted to X by Real and Go TV. Take a look.
Se o senhor quiser assinar. Se o senhor não assinar, não tem como. Eu não posso assinar pelo senhor, tem que ser o senhor. O que eu posso fazer, eu faço. Tipo, igual o documento aqui, ó. Paulo Roberto Braga. O senhor segura forte pra caramba a cadeira aí. Ele não segurou, ele é forte. Não vi.
Her uncle had passed. He's dead. This is so sad. Police were called. She got in trouble. But here's my question, because we did some research. This has been done before. Can you believe this isn't the first time someone has done this?
I can believe that.
If there's a will and if there's money, there's a way to extract it.
Wrong bank. She needed to go to one of those ones where it's just the thumbprint thing, man. Way easier.
Unbelievable. Let's get to our next story. I'm calling this one Suspicious Crimes. A man, after about 2 a.m., walked into a Memphis gas station, which happened to be located on Elvis Presley Boulevard, and demanded money from the cashier. Denied. This time returns, again demanding money, but this time had a 5-foot snake with him. And again, the cashier then pulled out a weapon of his own and thwarted this whole robbery, so it didn't happen. Police later found a rock and a railroad spike inside his backpack. But I'm wondering about this snake tonight. Was the snake a weapon or an accomplice? Oh yeah, speaking of accomplice, don't forget to watch my show, Accomplice to Murder, premiere season 2, May 5th. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I love snakes. I wish all crimes had a snake alongside them, but I don't think that the snake is properly charged as an accomplice in this situation.
Now, Molly is wearing a snake bracelet, and I am wearing Medusa with snakes in her head. And so we both know that if you are a snake,
you have a conflict of interest.
We're pro-snake for sure. Free the
Depends on whether
snake.
it's a coral snake or a garden snake, a king snake, or a rattlesnake.
All I know is that's not what I was thinking when you said there was a guy threatening people with his snake. Totally different.
Okay, next story. This one is called Pizza Perp. So a man is suspected of robbery. What he did is he robbed a bank. And he put on a little disguise in the bank. There it is. Got the fedora, the sunglasses on, and the jacket. And he gets away with it. He successfully robs a bank and then attempts to rob a Domino's pizzeria and is not successful. And he's on the lam. And my question tonight is, will justice be delivered? Well, the answer is yes, because we just got this surveillance video from Court TV. Take a look. Justice delivered, ladies and gentlemen, tonight, right here on Closing Arguments. Unbelievable. Thank you, sir.
Like you said.
Justice delivered and pizza served. Bam.
Quite honestly, if it had been the Hut or Papa John's, we would not have this situation.
Aren't you the one who says that only the dumb ones get caught and the smart ones get away?
He got away.
That's what I'm saying.
But does he have more than $20? Because I thought there was like a rule about that. Does not have more than $20. You know, maybe he would have done better at the first bank.
We caught him in 30 minutes or left. Daryl, if you're hungry.
Mellow Mushroom will be very sad because that's where I had lunch today. But having said that,
doubling down on pizza tonight.
It's a little cold.
A little cold. Cold pizza's good. Daryl Cohen, Molly Palmer, Josh Schiffer, thank you so much. Thank you. Enjoy the pizza. All right, before we go tonight, folks, please take a look at your screens. We have a missing child who needs your help. This is Ariel Miller White. Ariel, 16 years old, missing out of Charlotte, North Carolina since April 11th. If you see Ariel, please pick up the phone, make the call. You call 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department in North Carolina. That phone number is on the screen for you right now, along with her picture. Please, again, look at the picture. If you see her, make the call. Let's see if we can get Ariel to a safe place tonight. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night, and as always, please don't forget to hug the kids.